There is plenty of hype surrounding the outlook of Justin Crawford and the expected impact of Andrew Painter. There's another Phillies prospect worth keeping our eye on. That's right, Aidan Miller may not be making his MLB debut at quite the same rate, but this is a player we must keep our eyes on, with him getting some strong praise from some key figures within the organization. I do want to dive into exactly what is going down with Aidan Miller, the back injury, which is sort of stunting his potential to make this team and really his outlook heading into the start of the season here, and really look at why I think Bryce Harper has an affinity for the way this guy plays baseball. Now, to dive into things right here, the headline is Corey Seidman caught up with the young prospect right here, and he writes, Aidan Miller trying to keep mind from spiraling while dealing with back injury. Aidan Miller still doesn't know how he initially injured his back. Now, before I get into the meat and potatoes of the overall article right here, this was a situation that was full out revealed on the broadcast, as Bryce Harper himself was asked about Aidan Miller and said, quote, I need him to get healthy because he could help us by the end, obviously. And this was a bit of a head-turning comment at the time. Everyone was like, wait a second, did Aidan Miller have an injury? And of course, lo and behold, that's exactly what was going on. The Phillies are not holding him out for reasons because of him not cracking the top of the lineup or the rotation, or them trying to give him an opportunity. It simply comes down to the physical outlook that he has and the injury that he did sustain. So to get into that directly here, I want to start off with Corey's work, in which he writes, the 21-year-old shortstop doesn't know how he initially injured the back. He just woke up one morning this month feeling tight, and it didn't go away on its own. Quote, it wasn't anything on the field. It was just super tight, he said at his locker at Baycare Ballpark Thursday afternoon. Tried coming into the training room and calming it down, and it wasn't getting anywhere. We decided to take a couple days off, and now I've kind of been building back. Miller is back in the weight room, manager Rob Thomson said Wednesday, but the Phillies are obviously taking it slow with such a major piece of their future. Quote, just taking it day by day, listen to the training staff, and see what they've got for me each day. I feel like I'm in a better spot than I was. It's all getting better. And to interject a little bit here, back injuries are always a concern as far as one that lingers, and particularly when you're doing a motion like swinging a baseball bat. That's something you're going to feel in every single situation. So this is something the Phillies should be proactive, absolutely take care of, and make sure you get him 100%, because the worst thing you want is for this to bleed into the entire season. And then you might have to have some serious changes in your calculation for what is the pathway to incorporating to this Phillies team. Now, to continue on a little bit here, the article writes, the Phillies have not provided a timetable for when Miller will get into the game this spring. He admits that he got into his own head a bit at first, but is trying to stay in the moment. Quote, it's definitely frustrating. I feel like this is pretty big camp. I still think I'm going to get in some games towards the end, he said. Just really trying to stay present. My mind's been spiraling a little bit. When am I going to get into games? Is it going to be next week, the week after? But I'm trying to be the best I can and get better every day. And the thing that really jumps out about Aidan Miller, and I think this will become increasingly clear, I am a guy that lived in Reading for 4 years during my college era there, and have some still friends in the area right there that work for the Reading Eagle. All I hear is the best things about what a ball player this guy is. So he wants to suit him up every day. He plays hard. He plays the game the right way. He plays Bryce Harper style of baseball, which I think is something that obviously stood out to Bryce and is partially why it caught his eye. And obviously that weighs on you when you do not get opportunities to play when you're wired like that, which is everything that we should be hoping for in this type of player. Now, to continue on a little bit further in the article, it follows up to write, the first person to reveal Miller's injury was actually Bryce Harper during an in-game interview on the Phillies broadcast this past Sunday. Quote, yeah, if Miller could get off his butt and get in the game, that would be nice, Harper joked to Tom McCarthy and Ruben Amaro Jr. I'm just kidding, Aidan. I'm just kidding, buddy. But I need him to get healthy because he can help us by the end, obviously. Miller, who hit 264 with a 392 on-base percentage at AA and AAA, doesn't use social media, so he didn't see the clip at first. He's off Twitter and hasn't posted on Instagram since October 2024. And to put a bow on this article here, Aidan says, it's pretty cool. I don't have Twitter or anything, so my dad sent it to me. I was like, that's pretty cool that he's talking about me on the broadcast. Quote, really, as soon as I got to pro ball, I tried to eliminate social media a little bit. There's so much outside noise that I don't feel like is good for anybody, good or bad. And I just try and be present and not let other people's opinions affect how I go about my day. I fell into that trap a little bit. It's easy being a young guy. But that's the goal. I want to get there, and I want to win with these guys and win a World Series. I've got to get healthy, get in some games, and show the coaching staff and front office what I've got. Try to make a good impression. And one thing that absolutely made a good impression on me is from another article, which I did not pull up here, from Tim Kelly, who reported that Aidan Miller even went to Rob Thomson and to the coaching staff to remind them that he does have some experience playing outfield if that is an area where his services could be called on. All I see when it comes to Aidan Miller is a guy that is itching to make an impact on this baseball team, and that is something that does stand out to me. That as much as we have poo-pooed this offseason and been underwhelmed by the lack of moves that have been made, One thing that has been made clear is there is this injection of young talent into the organization that sort of changes the way that we do view this window. Now, granted, with that being said, it is rare that guys are able to come into the major leagues their first season and make a significant impact towards winning a ton of baseball games. But what this does mean is that there are potential building blocks for the future, that this next generation of Phillies baseball is starting to be established. Now, we have not seen these guys take the field yet. Justin Crawford could go 0 for 200 at the plate to start his MLB career, and all of a sudden we are feeling different. That Andrew Painter may not get his control back to the level it was before Tommy John. These are still hypotheticals for the time being, but I like that this is an attempt being made by the Phillies. You can only hold these guys back for so long, and hopefully they do deliver right now. It also is noteworthy to me that my perception, and this is certainly me reading between the lines more so than anything that Bryce Harper said directly, but where are you going to put Aidan Miller if he can really help this baseball team? And the guy that I think this sort of comes as veiled criticism toward is Alec Boehm right there, because he's not going to replace Trey Turner at shortstop, even though I think there's a pretty convincing case that Aidan Miller directly is better in the field than Trey Turner. And I'm going to try not to be too hard on Trey this season, as he is coming off the best defensive season that he's had probably in his career, certainly in a Phillies uniform right there. And then it comes down to, is it second base or third base? Is this a Bryson Stott or an Alec Boehm sort of a replacement right there? And when I factor in the comments that have been made by Bryce Harper this entire offseason about the lack of protection at the cleanup spot, which Alec Boehm is going to be a prime candidate to fill, and Aidan Miller helping this team, this does spell to me like this is shifting in the direction of Alec Boehm being a guy that could be way more on the chopping block, or at least on the chopping block in Bryce Harper's head, than I think we have publicly acknowledged to this point. So I don't expect this to ultimately change the direction of what their plan was. I think in all honesty that it was pretty predetermined that Justin Crawford's the priority. Andrew Painter is the guy that they're certainly hoping and pushing and giving him every chance to, that the hope was that this would have been last year that he got a chance right there. But these are the two guys that are pressing. Aidan Miller a bit further back on the timeline of what his level of expectations are or what the game plan is for getting him involved. I think the back injury is just a slight step back in that conversation. And once again, do approach this from the lens of it is essential to make sure that you do get this right, get him fully healthy to prolong how much you can get him on the field moving forward. So it's going to be interesting how they juggle this, what sort of timeline, if, Bryson Stott can't hit for a stretch, or if Alec Boehm is, grounded in double plays on an every time he's at bat basis. If Aidan Miller, that timeline begins to get accelerated right now. For the time being, I just love the way that he's going about it, even without being on the field, making such a clear, conscious effort to prove he wants it that bad, that he wants to be a part of this organization. And maybe this team is beginning to shift into better hands than I think we have acknowledged. We will see what this youthful core fully does have in store, but Aidan Miller is a name that we should probably start getting a bit familiar with, a little bit more than I have seen publicly talked about. So we'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. Are you in on the Aidan Miller vision as well? Is this a guy you are signed up, ready to support, and believe can make an impact this season or in the long-term future? We'd love to hear what you guys think. Drop those comments below. Appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me here. If you have not already, make sure you're hitting subscribe to the channel. Drop a like on this video here. I'll be back talking to you next time right here on Phillies Digest. Peace.